Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday evening session of classes from the Sandy Granite Family History Center. Tonight, we are especially grateful and glad and proud and everything else I can think of to have with us tonight Scott and Angel Anderson. And Scott and Angel, we've known them for quite a while now, not long enough, obviously. But they are just dynamic people, and they specialize in youth. Scott still has dark hair. I can't figure that out, but one of these days I'll have to learn his secret. But anyway, we're so grateful to have them with us tonight on a dynamic presentation that they have. And they're going to be introducing a number of other helpers they have with them tonight. So you'll need to be watching your screens to watch them pop on and off. Tonight, well, I got to say more. You know, Scott and Angel, they're on the management team of the Family History Guide. Yay. And they do so much in helping us with so many things in so many ways. And they have their fingers in so many pies. I can't believe it. And they're all over the social media scene. And they do, if you are familiar with the Family History Guide, you've probably seen the Come Follow Me section in the tab. And that's written by Angel and one of our other team members as well. And they basically do a dual presentation of that every week. They're chained to their computers and they come up with that. True. So, but we're so thrilled to have them with us tonight. A couple of other things of interest before I turn the time over to Scott and Angel. This program tonight will be viewable for the next however long, year, 2 years, whatever. They're all recorded. We are recording this tonight. You can find it at the Sandy Granite Family History Center's website, which is www.granitefhc.com. And it can be found if you click on the link that says schedules, you'll be able to find this program. It'll be up in several days, usually by the weekend, we get them up. And also on there, you can also find an archive that has probably dozens and dozens of the classes we've done in the past. I think one of Angel's and Scott's was on there still too. Might be more than one, but they're still there. You can see what they looked like years ago when they were really, really young. I think that said, if you have questions, we'd like to have you hold those until the end. We'll have a question and answer session, or you can put those questions on the chat. And if there are other things that they talk about, I'll try to get those posted up on the chat as well for you to refer back to. So without any further ado, we'll turn the time over to Scott and Angel Anderson. Go ahead.
Yay. Thank you so much. It is so great to be here, especially with our wonderful youth consultants. We appreciate them taking their time tonight to be with us. That was a great intro. Thank you, Bob. We have with us some amazing youth. And before we introduce them, I just want to read a little bit from Elder Bednar. And what he said was that the youth need to be anxiously engaged in this work right now. They will help identify things to do, ways of accomplishing this work that majestically moves this work all over the earth. Please do not underestimate what those Aaronic priesthood quorums and young women classes can accomplish. Amen. Amen. When the elders quorums, relief societies, Aaronic priesthood quorums, and young women classes are laser beam, singularly focused on the work of salvation, the miracles that occur in the advancement of this work in the earth will be astronomical. So that's our intro. We have these youth that are just incredible at coming up with ideas, just like Elder Bednar said, and causing those miracles to occur in our ward. So we're excited to share some of the things that they have come up with, the things that we have done that have been successful. And so we'll turn it over to them. Let's start with Annie and let's have them introduce themselves.
Let's just ask a question.
My name's Annie, like she said, and I just turned 18. This is my little brother.
Hi, I'm Seth, and I just turned 14.
Okay, pause.
Hi, I'm Alyssa and I'm 14.
And I'm Leah and I'm 17.
Connor.
Hey, name's Connor. I'm 17.
And when he's sitting down, he's still 6'8".
Something like that. Joe.
All right, my name is Joe and I'm 17.
Joe Fest. Thank you. And let's see. Ella Ren.
Hi, I'm Ella and I'm 15.
Hi, I'm Ren and I'm 13.
Thank
And they
you.
are amazing.
That's right. And we may have a few more join us. We happen to have a wedding in our ward tonight. So we lost a few of our consultants to that, but they may be able to join us in a little while. So with that introduction, and we want to say also that we are missionaries in our ward. My husband, Scott, is the ward mission leader, and I am a missionary too, besides being having the amazing opportunity to work with these youth in family history.
Because he's a temple and family history consultant.
Yes, I am, and I love it. And what Elder Bednar also said is that missionary work and temple and family history work are one work of salvation, right? The artificial boundary line we so often place between the two of them, missionary work and temple and family history work, is being erased. All gone. Okay, so we get to work together and we get to work with all of you. And we have had some amazing experiences in our ward. And let's jump right in. And let's start with Annie. And we'll go into our PowerPoint and we will share some of the things that we have learned, some of the things that we've accomplished, and let these kids just share from their hearts. Okay, so and view.
Okay, well, I think for this Zoom, we've kind of outlined a few ideas for you to take into your own ward, but these ideas are the most successful among many things that we've attempted to do to bring our ward together and unite us as a youth and to our ward and to our stake in a number of things. And one of those things is that we have a weekly meeting after church, and it's an open house, and we do a number of things. We can train others, we get trained, and it brings in a different crowd every week. There's always refreshments. And so it's always so exciting, and it's so fun to be together doing the most important thing. And it's super fun.
No
Yeah, there's so many-
kidding.
Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, there's so many things we do. Like, there's so many games you play. Like, there's a lot of things you can find on the Family Search page, and especially like Family Search, Discovery, All About Me, stuff like that. It's really fun.
No kidding. So, okay. So, does anybody want to just share what we did to find out what to do in these meetings so that we could meet the needs of our family or our ward families? Mainly the survey. Who wants to talk about that?
Angel does. So they came up with an idea that we needed to know where everybody was and what they were needing. And so we ran a survey, collected surveys from people in the ward. They had a chance to say, this is where I am with my family history stuff. This is what I need to do. This is kind of a copy of the survey that we ran. It gave us kind of an insight as to where our ward was and what needed to be done, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to reiterate what Annie just said about having a consistent time that we meet so we could plan on it. And during these meetings, like Seth said, we play games. We learn about Family Search and how to teach it, how to use it in our own lives. And we also learn that family history is so fun. We just have a blast in our weekly meetings, and anybody, like Annie said, from the ward can just come and join us and we can teach them. These youth are so informed and trained that they can actually just sit down with a ward member and say, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to learn? How can I help you? And if they can't find out how to help, then we have our adult, family and temple and family, oh, let me pop over here, temple and family history consultants that can help, and our fearless leader, who right now we are led by Brother Steve Hardman. That's right. So anyway, so that's what. So anybody else want to just say, yeah, anybody else want to chime in about what we do? One of our meetings, we meet Sundays right after church.
I want to add something. It's not a meeting. It's called an open house. We don't really schedule a lot of meetings on the Sabbath, but we do have an open
Get
house
together.
every Sunday where people can come and they can come and ask questions and be trained, and it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's a great way for new youth consultants to come in and be assimilated, be helped by the others, feel part of the group. So anyway, any questions about that or anything else anybody wants to add? I think that.
I have
go
a
ahead.
question. So do you just bring your own computers and then people just use your computers, or do they bring their own computers? And is your connection fast enough that you can do that without pulling your hair out?
Yeah, the church's connection seems to have always been fast enough. And sometimes people that have specific questions, if a family comes, they will bring their own equipment. We use the big screen TV and set it up and plug in our work, and we can do it in front of everybody and have everybody help. So a lot of times we just do it on the big screen and everybody helps and chimes in, and we do our work all together. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it works really well. What do you think about that, youth? You want to just kind of chime in about what you think about these and how it's worked, and how are you trained? Let's go there for a minute. Seth, do you want to just talk about the Family History Guide and how we use that to train you all and what it is?
Well, the Family History Guide is very useful and it helps us in so many ways. It kind of shows us how to get started with family history, and there's so many like learning opportunities, research opportunities, activities, and training. And even if you never done family history before, it's so much easier to use when you use Family History Guide.
Something I want to say about it is family history for a lot of people seems really daunting. And that's something Family History Guide can eliminate for those people, because it has everything outlined. It has resources and lessons and activities to do. So you can so easily get involved rather than aimlessly trying to figure it out on your own. It's just like a textbook almost, but even simpler than that. Yeah.
Amen. It is amazing. And we are so lucky to have it. So we do the training, we have fun playing games like Seth said, and on the Family History Guide, there are actually over 200 activities that we can do to learn and and we'll go over some of those in a little bit more detail. But so we did the survey, and Leah, what happened after that? What did we decide that we needed to do?
Games.
Yeah, there's the game.
So from the results of the survey, we wanted to use that information to help others to get a Family Search account. So we made a bulletin board. When my dad was the family history leader, we got some consultants together and we made this bulletin board that showed pretty detailed steps on if you have an account or not, and then basically just to get them to have their 4 generations done with the names and dates and events, and to also to show them the Memories app and the family tree. So basically just to try the basics of it and try to get them onto Family Search and any questions they have. And it was a kind of easy way of doing that, I guess.
Yes. So isn't this beautiful?
The thing I love about this is every person can step up and say, what's your next step? And the whole campaign that started this was to say every single member of the ward, if they'd never done anything, or if they're very, very experienced, could follow this little flow chart and say, okay, what's my next thing I should be doing? and then could come to a consultant and get help. So it was amazing what the Pauls worked out, and all the family history youth consultants that kind of put in their 2 cents to get it directed. We love it, and it's still there.
That's right.
Sitting
It's
in
been
our
up
ward.
a long time. Okay, go backwards. Okay, so basically that was a campaign, right, Leah? We started with the accounts, the 4 generations. We taught them how to use the apps. Well, we taught anybody who came to us, and we put it out there in all of our communication, emails, and those kind of things. This is our campaign. And then the next campaign that we did, and I must say it was very successful. But hopefully we can do that again and get even more people on, right, youth? So the next campaign that we did was recording personal stories. And that one was mainly run by the Relief Society, and every week they have an email they send out. And so every week we put in there a question that you could answer about you and your life. And so we did that for a whole year, and that was a great campaign. And then the next one, oh yeah, and Tommy isn't here to talk about this, but one of the things we did with collecting stories and helping people was to go and record. And does anybody want to talk about an interview they did since Tommy's not here? This is Tommy and our former bishop. And Scott and I took, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying
I am. Tommy, you're here. Yay. Okay, thank you. Let's hear what this interview was like.
What? Oh, yeah. I don't know. It was just kind of an experience to learn about like Bishop when he was younger and like what he did as a kid, like after school and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. And he had all these artifacts that he showed us. And we were there like how long, Tommy? Like a long time. That was so fun. So yeah, and a lot of you youth have had great experiences interviewing.
He broke open his safe and brought out all kinds of wonderful things for us to
Yeah,
see.
it was great.
Yeah. My favorite thing that he showed us was his old rifle that his dad gave him.
Yeah, that was amazing, huh?
Really cool to see.
The unique thing is Bishop never had anybody record stories. His dad died when he was very young. And he said, if I could possibly hear my dad's voice and have him speak, he's the youngest in his family and his dad had passed away. And he was so appreciative for the youth going around and actually recording people in their own voice, because he feels like he wants to give that to his kids and have in his own voice his stories recorded. And there are lots of recording that went on. And
yeah, Annie, do you want to talk about interviewing Ferris?
I would love to. I was going to try and sneak in and say something about that because it was super cool. He was already one of my dear friends. He lived down the street and has now passed away. But if we hadn't taken advantage of our opportunity to record him, he probably wouldn't have ever told those stories. They probably never would have left his lips. He was a veteran, a naval veteran, and he had spent months to a year on a ship with the craziest stories I'd heard. And it seemed like a movie, the things he was talking about, but they were all real and they happened. And he was emotional talking about it and said, literally out loud said, these things I haven't spoken of, really. I haven't told much like about this. I haven't really told many people. And so we have them recorded and shared them on his accounts and got him all set up. And later he came to a ward function we were holding and was just felt so known by us because we had taken the time to understand those stories, and such incredible stories that every person that comes here to earth leaves with a different experience of so many stories and amazing things and amazing feats. And for him to have died with no record of those experiences on that ship, that would have really been so sad. So it was really amazing to be the one to hold the phone and ask him those questions and get them out of him. So now that he's passed, his family has that information, and they were also very appreciative of the time we spent with him. Yeah.
Thank you. And so our next campaign was to put these stories on social media. We of course got permission, and Annie put this one on of Ferris when he was in the Navy and talked about him so that people in our neighborhood and in our ward could learn those stories. And we ran this whole campaign about using social media and flooding the internet with good, wonderful things, and especially family history stories. We have an internet for our, we have a Facebook group for our neighborhood. We have one for our ward. We have one for our youth consultants and all of our consultants in family history. And we just try to post on those to uplift people and to let them know some of these stories that they may never hear otherwise and be inspired, like Annie said.
This also happens to be the approach right now in missionary work throughout the world. We're doing so much on Facebook and on social media to reach out and connect with people. There are 1.2 billion people doing family history online, and the interest in this thing is remarkable. So if we can then tap into that interest and help people understand why they're so interested in the family and why they're interested in their family history, and help them see the bigger picture about what that's all about. It's a remarkable gift, and watching the youth do it is amazing. In fact, here's our neighbor, right?
Yes, and so this is one of the things that was posted, and our neighbor actually created this document about Jim, our neighbor who has been a farmer since he was probably born, since he was very, very young. And his farm and his family have affected everybody in our ward and in our neighborhood. And so she did this beautiful document, and we asked permission and got to post that on social media. So the next one that we did, and this was so fun that we are going
this
to
is
do
a great
it
one.
again. So this was called the 21-day challenge. And what did we do? Let's talk about this a minute.
Ella and Ren, why don't you guys tell us a little about your crazy experience, because you were one of the first posts on our Instagram account.
Well, one thing that we like to do was we did this thing that we call Pioneer Pizza. So we got pizza, which we love, and we ate it as a family while our parents told us awesome stories of our ancestors and pioneers. And it was really awesome to see how much work they put into the church. And it was a great experience that I could learn so much about it.
Yeah, I love that. Anything else, Ella?
Yeah, another thing was my older brother Eric, which is in that picture. The young men went on a scout camp during, yeah, this is it. Well, during the span of that 21 days, they went on a scout trip, and they even took the time, just 5 minutes, to get together, and they talked to a guy in our ward, and he shared some family experiences, and they said they really liked it, and he just made a short post about it to let everybody know what they did, and it was really cool.
Isn't that fun? Like, they would not miss their 5 minutes. So the whole idea was 21 days of 5 minutes of family history in a row. And our whole board did it. The primary did it, the young men, young women, the older groups, everybody. And we supported each other, and the bishopric was behind it. I would say this is one of the most successful campaigns that we have ever done in our ward. And the whole idea was just to get it to be a habit and to learn from just that little bit of time every single day.
Anybody else remember anything from that little campaign? Because all the families did some remarkable things. Oh, here's another picture.
These are Tommy's sisters. Tommy, do you want to talk about interviewing and doing anything else that, you've already said that you interviewed the bishop, and your sisters now are interviewing Grandma Jan, who is everybody's grandma in the whole ward. Anything else you want to add about interviews or social media?
For a 21-day challenge, I just wanted to say that it really emphasized the simplicity of the work, that it isn't some crazy thing that you have to dedicate 5 hours to say you did family history, but it's also just asking your mom for a story, or recording a story of your own, trying to journal more, or any number of little simple tasks that are family history and are recording and are connecting you to your ancestors and your family here. So I think the 21-day challenge really lit the fire in our ward, because everybody realized that it wasn't such a big daunting deal, but just simple things to love and create little habits like that as well as the big ones too.
So true.
Absolutely.
Pauls, you created a video of an experience you had with some of your family, right?
Yeah. Yes, I recorded a video of me talking about my like fourth great grandpa, I think. And just a story. It was just fun because on some during the 21-day challenge, we would read stories about our ancestors and like how we came to America and just shared those on Instagram. So it was really fun.
That's so wonderful.
And then we all got to receive that and enjoy it so much. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and I was so fascinated by our friend Anita, a ward member. She said that you know how you can sign up for notifications and you get those from Family Search and MyHeritage or wherever, and they just tell you a little bit about your family and say, we found this information and and she said I would get those and I'd get them a lot. So I just kind of skip over them. But because during this
Because you
time
felt
period,
so bad you didn't have any pioneer ancestors.
that's right. And that's kind of why she did. But also she's got kind of like they were coming all the time. But because we were doing the 21-day experiment and the challenge to do 5 minutes, she said, well, I'm going to look. And that day when she opened up that notification, it led her to a name of an ancestor that had actually crossed the plains as a 4-year-old. And she just cried. She said, I didn't think I had anybody who crossed the plains. And here I found this little person. And I just can't wait to meet her in heaven because all of a sudden I had pioneer ancestors too. And she discovered that because she was focused on family history. Anymore?
This is such an amazingly fun thing that this month in our ward right now, we're having a family history month. And starting next week, we're going to do the 21-day challenge again. Try to get everybody just to do 5 minutes because it's just infectious and it's so fun and everybody loves the experiences they have and recording them. So it's been, like the youth said, been one of the greatest things we've done.
Absolutely. Anything else on that, youth, before we go on?
I was just gonna say, something about the 21-day challenge was just 5 minutes. It doesn't seem like that big of a stretch that you can take out of your day, just 5 minutes. But once you get on and doing family history and realizing that it's actually there and it's easy, it usually you want to do more and more, and it can lead to 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour. Yeah. And so not just doing 5 minutes a day can also lead to more stuff. So I thought that was cool.
Yes, thank you for adding that. And is Joe, if you start talking, I think you'll show up, will you? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome, there he is. Okay, so Joe, they just moved into our ward. And and so he's just getting, the feel of the spirit of Elijah that dwells within our ward and with our members. And so, Joe, is there anything that you look forward to when we do the 21-day challenge again? What are you interested in as far as family history? What do you want to find out?
Let's see. Oh shoot. Hold up. Okay, my phone's doing something weird.
There you are again.
Hello? Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think the 21-day challenge sounds pretty dang interesting because I sort of learned a lot of the same things, is that family history is very often made out to be something super big, like an hour of indexing. Indexing was really the only thing I ever knew about family history before moving here. Honestly, we did a terrible job of family history before I moved here. And so that's never fun. I can admit that I don't like indexing, but there are so many different things that's so simple, like just sharing stories and learning and gathering information. So all these things, like the 21-day challenge with 5 minutes a day, it's so simple. And so I really like learning that, and I'm excited to see what else we have in the future.
Yay. Yes, sirree.
So fun.
So another campaign that we have run since it was created, really, and Bob talked about this at the beginning of this broadcast, but does anybody else want to just share a little bit about the campaign that we constantly run about the Come Follow Me Companion, and just explain what it is?
I would love to.
Great.
Well, so the Come Follow Me Companion Guide was a yearly campaign that started last year and is continuing this year. It's been very fun and it's been very useful to kind of learn with.
Amen. Because you don't have to think. You're like, okay, I want the blessings of doing family history, right? And we do Come Follow Me. So if we combine those and extend and enrich what we're studying this year, the Old Testament, and the thinking is already done. So you can just go through and choose some activities, anything that works. Seth had an amazing experience with Come Follow Me, the Come Follow Me companion, sharing a family history story, because what was asked in the Come Follow Me companion was, what do you have in your house that has to do with family history? And let's do just a little museum. And Seth, just tell what happened when, and this was totally related to.
One second before Seth shares that. The Come Follow Me companion is available every single week for Come Follow Me, and it has family history activities linked to every single lesson. So you can read about Moses and what he did, but then it relates to, oh, babe, what about Grandpa? And how did that relate to our particular family? So it's a way to make Come Follow Me specific to your family. And there are lessons available every week. It's available on the Family History Guide
So the
homepage. It says Come Follow Me Companion, and it's an amazing resource just to give you, and like Angel said, all the thinking's done. You can just pop it open. So that's what happened. And Seth, go ahead. When you did the museum.
Great. Well, when we did the museum, I kind of immediately knew what I was gonna do. So we went to my room and I grabbed my Pinewood Derby car from the last year I ever did Pinewood Derbies. And it wasn't very beautiful, and there were a lot of mistakes to it. But we were gluing wheels to the car, we were making axles that weren't right, and just nothing seemed to be going right. And so we went to the Pinewood Derby race, and I was just not feeling good. And then I won the first race and the second race, and I just kept winning, and I won the race, and I just felt so close. I could almost feel, and it's kind of special experience, not just because we won, but because Pinewood Derby cars is a thing that we would do with my grandpa Raspberry, or Grandpa Christensen, and he had passed away the year before, and so we had no idea what we were doing, and we, as I said, we were messing up with axles, and my grandma remembers that there were these axles that my grandpa made that he hand sawed, and it was perfect. And so even from beyond the grave, my grandpa was still putting in those axles into my car. He was still pushing it down that track. And after we finished the Pinewood Derby, we raced it again, and I didn't even get down the track. So it kind of makes me think like my grandpa's pushing that down, It was a great experience.
I remember very well the axles breaking, things not working, and you receiving that wonderful news that there were these ones your grandpa had made and put those on. And it really was a moment where grandpa stepped from the other side just to say, Seth, I'm still here. I'm still by your side, helping you out. And you felt it, and so did we.
That is so true. Thank you for sharing that. Everybody just had something that meant something to them. Suddenly, there was a spiritual experience just from that little activity that had to do with the lesson that week. The one that's up on the screen right now is something for this week, actually, because the Come Follow Me asks, what are prophets teaching today about the gospel of Jesus Christ that could keep you safe in today's world? And as you read about it, think, what else is there that we have been promised? And because we are here, we know the answer to that. Every single one of us knows that temple and family history work can bring amazing protection and so many blessings. And we invite you all to just study the Elder Rego's talk called, what is it?
Promise blessing.
Promise blessings of family history, sealing and healing.
Sealing and healing. Yep.
And those are blessings that we want for every one of you youth. We want them for every member of our family. And they are real. We want to wrap you in that protection. And you know that, and you feel that, don't you? So anyway, that is a campaign that we ran. And the next thing is the next idea. So we've talked about having consistent get-togethers and learning and teaching and sharing. And we talked
Second idea.
about the second idea was around some campaigns. And this is the third idea, and you are going to love
This is so fun.
share with you. So let's see, let's go with.
These are more one-time activities that they plan, and they are this one. Oh, well,
Yeah.
let's talk about this one.
Yes. Who wants to talk about that? Let's see. Tommy, are you still there? Oh, you know what? Tommy was too
Tommy
young
wasn't
when we
there.
had this.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
You're still here, but you didn't do this one, right? Because you weren't in there yet, right?
I can't really hear you guys. It's super quiet.
Oh, I am so sorry. We keep forgetting to come into the middle here.
It's
Okay,
okay.
so let's see. So Annie, Seth, Leah, Alyssa, were you here? Or were you too young? We need our older ones. Okay, Leah, Annie, and you guys talk about it, okay?
I actually don't think I was in the ward at this time.
I think you weren't. Annie, it's up to you.
I've got it. This activity was kind of, in my mind, it felt like a Kickstarter to our like passion in the ward for family history, because it really like made us realize like, oh my gosh, this is actually really fun, and this is easy, and this is like very tender to me, you know? So what we did is, you can see that we're lining up facing each other, and it sounds a little weird to call it speed dating, but that's kind of what it is.
Fast
We
friendship.
lined
Fast
up
friendship, we
all
called it,
of-
right, Annie?
Yeah. The seniors in our ward over a certain age, we had them come on just our mutual activity night, and we lined them up across the room, and then we all lined up across from them, and we had papers with questions that would spark conversations or spark stories. And so we would move down chairs every few minutes, and by the end we'd had gotten to know every senior in the ward and new stories, and they had, by the end of the night, talked over their whole lives and felt so interested in and so loved. And it's so important for the many widows and widowers in our ward that wanted to be connected to us and maybe hadn't had the chance to meet us, and some of them even didn't come to church weekly. It was a little too much of a physical sacrifice, so a lot of them like hadn't met families that had moved in because and all of that. So it was really, really wonderful to get to know all of them in one night and hear so many amazing stories and compare to our lives and just make friends with so many people just in one night. And it was very, very sweet. I loved it.
It was so wonderful, and they did not want it to end. They didn't want it to be over, right?
In fact, one of our senior members came up to me at the end of the meeting and with tears in his eyes said, "This is the most significant thing I've done in years." They really were interested in me. They really wanted to know, and he got to share all kinds of experiences he had in the war and throughout his life. And what was it like in our ward from then on when they walked down the hall, right? And they would see each other, and they all related to each other in such a different, powerful way. It just strengthened the whole ward's unity, but also strengthened their commitment to the kind of dedication and endurance these wonderful elderly people had had with the gospel. It was amazing.
It was amazing. And then after that, we kind of had a follow-up breakfast where we invited them back, and then we took them, we fed them and talked to them, and then we took them into different classrooms and actually recorded those stories for them. And we tried to get those stories to their family members and get them on Family Search so they could last forever, right? Anything else on those two activities?
I think Andy's the only one that was there.
I know, I think so too.
I'll say one last thing, just that when we were recording at the breakfast, me and Abby, who isn't on the Zoom, we had a little old lady that also soon after passed away, but she told the funniest stories about like not wearing pants to school or something like that. And so because of that, the last few months of her life, every time I saw her at church, we had this inside joke. So we were like immediately so near and dear to each other, and would laugh every time I saw her at church. So it was sweet for her later generations, but also just for her life now and my life now, to make a dear friend to laugh with and send her off having laughed every time she went to church. It was very sweet
I
to
love that.
connect with her more personally than the fast friendship was as well. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, so many often are just afraid of the computer too and don't know how to do this. And you do. The youth are so good at this, right? Tommy, did you have something to add?
I just have to say I have to go now because I'm at my cousin's reception.
Yes, and tell everybody hi for us and thanks for joining us.
Okay, I will. Okay, see
Okay.
ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so
Tommy.
next activity. Who wants to lead this one out? I think all of you were there, right?
Yeah.
I can.
Maybe not Joe. Okay. Go for it.
This activity was super, super awesome. We got all of the youth, we did a combined activity. We planned all this out. We made the flyer and we invited all the elderly people to come to this dinner, and we had people bring soups, and I remember the soup was so good, but we made a theme. It was the 50s night, which they could relate to, and it was cool for them. We dressed up and we pretty much served them dinner, and we would sit down with them and ask them questions, and got to know them better as we served them food. And so we had a connection with them through food and through stories, and it was way cool.
And you looked so good. I love how we all matched and and we're very, what one youth called very professional looking,
Yes.
right?
In the top left-hand side shows it.
Oh, let's see, who's that?
Sorry. I just want to say, so me and Leah just barely had moved in before, like, this was one of our first activities, and I just loved it because we felt so like we knew so much more about the ward just from this one activity, and we felt so much more connected, and like it was like a really good, I feel like we all connected with like the seniors and everything really well. So
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, and the youth, you all did it.
Did it.
You planned this, you invited them, and it was so wonderful. So two things, who wants to handle the timeline and who wants to talk about the ofrenda? Go for it.
I can talk about the ofrenda.
Okay.
That was actually a really cool idea. You can see in one of the pictures behind all the tables, we had a special table just set up for the members in our ward, the elderly who had passed away, and but we still wanted them to be included in this activity and to learn more about them. So my grandma was actually on the ofrenda, which was really special for me to experience that and have her still be there with us. And we got to even remember the lives of those who had even passed on.
Yes, and that was a great part of this evening. So what about the timeline?
I can do the timeline.
Great.
Similarly to the ofrenda, it helped us just understand the past and the history of our ward and the people that live here. And it was really special to see how far this ward has come to now. It's this wonderful, friendly, like greatest ward. And it's just so sweet to see how many giant shoulders we're standing on that made it so great today. But the timeline was a little bit more specific. The ofrenda was, people that had passed, which is very sweet. But then the timeline, we had just countless events that had happened to those people that were now our friends in the ward, and we had this big long timeline of a million things that had happened. And so even the people we didn't sit by that night, we could go up and look at the timeline and see all these other things that had happened to them, like wars and marriages and having kids and all of these important things. And it was super cool to look at that timeline and see how dense and beautiful the lives are of the people that we've only really seen their old age. It was really cool.
I love that.
One of the things I loved is it showed how all the lives interacted with each other. And it showed how when the timeline was set up, suddenly you could see so many events happening in parallel with other members of the ward and what they were going through. And it made it all feel much more connected, like a big family. Look at that group of you.
Yeah, and they felt, and we felt remembered, like somebody wanted to know about their lives. And we can pull that timeline out. We pulled it out on Christmas parties and added more to it. So that has been really, really fun.
Who's that really tall guy on the left?
Connor, are you still
Oh,
here? Connor, wave, say hi.
Yeah. What's up?
There you are. Love the red apron. But that was just a fun event. We just love that. And Ella and Ren, what happened to your brother on his mission as a result of doing a timeline in our ward as a result of it?
So a thing that happened after this activity, so my brother Eric, who is on his mission in Colombia, he, as a ward activity, he had ward members do the same timeline activity. He was super excited that he did it, and he loved talking about it to us on the call. Yeah, it was only his third weekend in the mission, and he barely knew Spanish. He wasn't feeling very connected with his ward yet, but I specifically remember talking to him on FaceTime after this activity, and he said that he felt more connected with his ward and just got to know more about their lives that he probably wouldn't have known if he didn't do this activity, and he really loved it. Another cool thing that he also made a similar flyer, and it was all in Spanish, and it was super cool to see because it had like the same indentation, but it was like just in a different language. That was super cool.
That is so cool.
And I remember him being way out there in no man's land with a Spanish speaking companion and nobody. And when he got invested in this family history activity, suddenly he felt really connected, not only to the people, but to his mission, I think, in a beautiful way.
Amen. So this activity, so I think, Connor, can you talk about this, and were you there?
This is Christmas dinner, our Christmas breakfast, right?
Yeah. So with this Christmas breakfast, we do the Christmas breakfast every year. It's a ward tradition. But this year we wanted to put a family history twist on it. And so we kind of got together, figured out some ideas of what we could do to bring family history into this super fun activity that everyone comes to. So we decided we'd have people come with stories to share, people come with different things we can put up on this bulletin board essentially, and focusing on their favorite Christmas memories. And so it was just really cool to see these different aspects of how so many different people celebrated Christmas and how they all made it their own.
And you all wore special hats provided by our family history leader so that you would be known. And every time they had a story ready, they'd hold up their hand, right, Connor? And you'd run around and collect them and put them up on the board.
Did any of them stand out to you, some of the memories that were shared? Do you remember any of those or ones that you shared? This is your family history. This is our ward's family history.
Yeah, so I got there a little late, so I didn't get to experience many of the stories, but I went through and read through a few of them. And it was one thing that shocked me was how I thought a lot of our traditions were pretty unique, but I guess that some other people also celebrated the same things. And so it was just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Paul's, I loved yours about the Christmas when you gave up so much. Can you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
You want to say anything about that?
Oh, yeah. So basically when, I don't know how long ago it was, probably like 5 years ago, one of our family members was less fortunate and wasn't able to provide their family a Christmas. And so my parents just kind of asked me and Alyssa if we would give up basically our Christmas for theirs to give them like the money for their Christmas. And so we decided to, and then they were able to have a Christmas, and it was a really neat opportunity to see how happy they were. And
I love reading about that.
Yeah.
So sweet.
And the Air family, I love reading about theirs. They had a little baby. Linda Air had a little baby, tiny little preemie, right before Christmas. And she said in her story that they had decided and taken x-rays that this little baby was having to have a serious operation and was life-threatening because of a condition. And in the midst of that happening, then the bishop and her husband came and gave the baby a blessing. The next day they took an x-ray and the baby was completely perfect and went home and could be there on Christmas Day as our little Christmas miracle. They talked about putting that little baby in the manger scene and thinking about the miracle of Christmas. I mean,
There were some
the
sweet,
whole board
sweet
was filled
stories.
with remarkable experiences.
Lots of different, some families remembered building a Christmas tree out of cardboard or balloons because they didn't have money to go get one. Grandma Jan said that one year they did go get one and they chopped down a tree and found out later that it was against the law, but they enjoyed that tree. So that was just a really fun thing that we did. And that board just got filled up with these wonderful
In
memories.
fact, at the present moment, it's sitting on our kitchen counter, all
Yeah.
spread out. So
Yeah, so we could remember
still
them.
treasuring that.
So I don't know, this next year, we can look forward to redoing and continuing some of the traditions that we've started. Rand, do you want to talk about what we do as far as temple and family temple work and
Temple trips.
temple trips?
Yeah, we like to go at least once a month, and we either do it as a family or as a ward, and it's super fun. We just try to get as many spots as we can, and during class on Sunday, we pass around a slip, and people sign up. We make a time, and we all plan on going. It's really fun. People bring their own names, and yeah, that's really fun.
So great. Any other thoughts about temple work itself that we do in our ward together? I know you youth have been wonderful about baptisms for those that can't do them. Some of our older seniors in the ward, and they always have some names, don't they? And so that's such a service. And you know, I believe what Elder Bednar has said here, that as you participate in and love this holy work, you will be safeguarded in your youth and throughout your lives. So thank you for all of that service that you do. So just in closing, we have a little, and we could really talk about these a lot more. Before we go on, Joe, since you're new, what kinds of things should we do? We want to do the 21-day experiment again this next year. We want to maybe have some firesides and, you know, help plant those seeds of family history. Anything else anybody wants to say about maybe what we can look forward to that we haven't done yet?
Or anything else you want to
Or
say that you
anything
haven't
else
had a
you wanna
chance to say?
before we close with this video?
So I just wanted to say real quick, I haven't been able to be at a lot of the family history events. I kind of just got into the family history, but even just being in the ward, I got kind of pulled into a lot of them just through activities and stuff and people inviting me. So just wanted to say, like, you can be that person for your ward. You can invite everyone and have these fun activities, and you can help kind of spark that inspiration to let everyone want to do it more often. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Along with what Connor was saying, the young women had a planning activity for all the activities throughout the year and what we would like to do. And we kind of set a goal where we would like to put some sort of family history into every activity that we do. So just like Connor was saying, if some people in our ward aren't that into family history and aren't that involved with what we're doing, even if they just come to the young women's activities, then they will be involved in at least a little bit of family history, and maybe that'll spark something in them. So I thought that was a good idea.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Yes. Anything else? So I don't know how many of you were at this activity. This was actually a stake activity that was planned by the youth committee. And we won't show all of it, but we'll give you a flavor of some of the things that we did. And this would be a blast to do on a ward level. And just all the ideas, and you could make a lot of activities out of this one, actually.
Stop sharing.
Okay, so anybody just want to add anything to this? There's a little bit more, but the whole idea was it involved everybody and gave everyone an opportunity to experience some kind of family history. Any comments?
One thing that is good about these activities is that there's so many different things for everybody to do. I think that's a big thing to get your youth involved, is to have a variety, because teens, if they're not gonna, if they don't like the one thing you're gonna do, they're not gonna want to keep doing it. So to have a big variety like that and have many, many things is a good way to keep the teens involved.
Love it. Yes.
So just quickly, the escape rooms were amazing in this activity.
I'm going to just pull it forward just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
They had escape rooms and the kids would go into an escape room and there were clues everywhere and the whole place was decked out. The escape rooms were amazing. And they would try to figure out a puzzle about who the escape room was about and what it was about. And by the time they discovered it, then the actual person that they had been getting clues about would walk in, and he was a veteran from our state that had gone through unique experiences, and they got a chance to actually meet him and have a chance to talk to him. That's one of the escape rooms. And this is Ferris, the one that was on the boat that Annie interviewed. He was on the aircraft carrier or the destroyer for 3 years and was only off for 3 weeks out of those 3 years. Remarkable. So they went in this room and found out all about him, and all this memorabilia is from his life. That's just as one of the activities. The kids in the Spirit Prison were in there because they needed to get out, and they'd do family history activities, and so they could go get somebody out of Spirit Prison, and it helped make that link. And anyway, it was lots and lots of fun.
YouTube or on the Family History Guide, just search for Redeem the Dead video, and you can look at it and get ideas for your own ward. So there's the 3 ideas, and we will, let's see if it'll advance. We'll close unless anybody else has anything they want to add before we end. You all talked out. Thank you for
So
sharing.
let's just tell you about this wonderful couple. They just moved in our ward in November. This handsome young fellow was not a member, living in Brazil. He was Italian, trying to figure out why he was Italian, living in Brazil. He started to do family history, and dig up some things, knew nothing about how to do it, knew nothing about how to find out, but through some efforts found out that he had an Italian or a grandfather who had moved from Italy and come to Brazil and found another Italian, and they got married in Brazil. And he was interested in that, found a few relatives. His name is Zanini, and such a unique name, but he sent out some information yeah, it's his last name, on social media, and lo and behold, found somebody else was a Zanini, and they said, do you know why you're doing family history work? Well, it's because it's important, because your family history lasts forever. In fact, have you ever heard of the Book of Mormon? And sent him a copy of the Book of Mormon. He said, I'm not a reader. I'm not going to read this. He just set it down. So the next day or so, he was at work and he was bored, and he opened his backpack and the Book of Mormon was in it. And he thought, I didn't put it there. I don't know what it's doing there, but he picked it up and started to read. He's reading when a customer came in that he knew well. They said, what are you doing reading that book? He said, I don't know. Am I supposed to be? They said, well, it just so happens that I love that book too, because I happen to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ. And my nephew is going to get in touch with you and take you to church. Anyway, it all started with family history. This sweet young man found so much meaning in all of that, joined the church, met this beautiful woman. They decided they're not going to even date until they got back from their missions. So they both served missions, came home. They got married last November, left Brazil and came to our ward in the first part of December. And they are so on fire about family history and how it changed their life forever. And they just got sealed in the temple last week because they weren't able to be sealed where they lived in Brazil. And we are so grateful for this amazing work and what the spirit that it brings into our lives and into our ward. Leave that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening and do family history.
Thanks, youth. You are amazing.
Okay, hang on, guys. There are a couple of questions over on the chat.
Okay.
One is from Terry, and Terry asked how often did the Relief Society send out a topic for recordings?
They send out a message every week. They have something called the Connections. They send out something every week. So they send out an idea every week, and they use the 52 stories list to send out a question. And with that, people then had a prompt to write down something about their life.
Yeah, so it made it easy when you think about, just breaking it up into a weekly experience rather than just, I've got to write my whole family history.
Yeah.
So
Great question.
Yeah, another one from Brad. Can we get a list of the questions for the speed dating activity?
Yes, there were 21, and it was fun. We didn't call it speed dating, by the way. We called it fast friendship. But it's the same idea as speed dating, and people got to know it. But sure, we could post those. That 21 questions just to find out about their lives.
Yeah, and I think maybe even some of the questions were different. I think just pull some from the 52 questions from Family Search. Just find out what would work for your particular group. We did a lot of like early life ones because we wanted to learn about what it was like for them, the seniors, and get to know them better. So I think, yeah, I would just go online, get some. I'm not sure we actually have the list anymore, but but that's what I'd recommend. Just look around, see what questions would fit your group.
Okay, great. And then there was one more from Michelle. How are you able to get so many appointments during this schedule?
Hi, Michelle.
COVID.
Yeah, guess what?
Appointments for the
It's
temple.
amazing. The youth do it. They have a chance to figure out a way to contact the temple and get appointments, and then they reserve spots. And it is hard to get baptism appointments specifically because
Well, and you have to understand that where our ward is, we are centered in between a lot of temples.
5 temples.
And so if one's busy, we try another one. And just keep trying. People who work in the temple have told us that there are almost always cancellations for a day. So if you call in the morning and say, are there any yet? And then call a little later, that you can usually get in, hopefully.
Yeah.
But our
Great.
youth are great about going.
And let's see, Brad says, perfect, thank you. Aline had one comment, and we'll close with this one. She says, I formed a Cook Cousins Facebook group and have all my grandparents' children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Anyway, it's a way that I can share stuff. I also see how it has kept us all closer. We post all kinds of crazy things, just as a suggestion. That's right up your alley, all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
That's fantastic.
well, that's great. Thank you, guys. And just a reminder that this class presentation will be posted in a few days at www.granitefhc.com on the website. And you can go on the top and click on the tab. You'll find where the archive classes are. And then you can watch it as many times as you want. Thank you again to Angel and Scott. It's good to
To
see
the
you.
youth.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, youth. Thank
Thanks,
you,
youth.
everyone. Good night.